is no more habit-forming than legal drugs such as tobacco and alcohol. I reckon you will attempt to say that persons can develop a psychological dependency on marijuana, but this risk should be looked at in the widest context, since the same can be said of many legal behaviors when taken with. For example, it is possible to get hooked on eating. Furthermore, both legal alcohol and legal tobacco are more habit-forming and addictive than illegal marijuana. The Times reports that marijuana leads to a dependency in around 0.9 to 1% of adult users. Conversely, 30% of tobacco users become addicted. 30%. In a comparative analysis done by Lashmer and Red on the risks of recreational drug use, marijuana was literally 114 times safer to use than alcohol. Unlike alcohol, marijuana overdoses are nearly an impossible occurrence. The Huffington Post, quoting a study, cited that a marijuana smoker would have to consume 20,000 to 40,000 times the amount of THC found in a single joint in order to die from a drug overdose. Worthy opponents, it is both unfair and unjust to treat marijuana users more harshly under the law. On the point of marijuana being a gateway drug, let us settle this argument once and for all. You, my worthy opponents, have stated that scientific research has proven that marijuana is a gateway drug. However, this argument is still being debated in the scientific community. So, how can we say that something is scientifically proven if the jury is still out? For example, a 12-year study done by the University of Pittsburgh concluded that marijuana is not a gateway drug. In fact, Professor of Sociology at Bentley University went so far as to say that, if anything, marijuana could be a drug out of high drug use. In terms of medicinal value, it is now being proven that marijuana is effective in treating a number of long-standing illnesses. The Times lists epilepsy, AIDS, and nausea as a few that marijuana has been able to help. Marijuana, ladies and gentlemen, it is financially costly to Barbados to keep marijuana illegal. One can extrapolate from US statistics that Barbados will benefit from the decriminalization of marijuana. It costs the US billions every year to arrest, to charge, and to prosecute marijuana offenders, many of whom fall into the category of low-level offenders. What a waste of taxpayer money. Based on the scenario in Colorado, where the legalization of marijuana generated millions in revenue, one could see Barbados' government earning substantial revenue through the taxation of marijuana. Because of marijuana's inelasticity, the government could apply a high tax akin to that of cigarettes. These funds could be plugged back into the economy to improve Barbados. My worthy opponents. By now, I'm pretty sure you're wondering, why the need for the debate? Why was marijuana criminalized to begin with? Should we be bound by distorted history and politics of other countries, such as the United States, whose ban on marijuana serves their own interests? A progressive society is one that adapts as it acquires new information. According to Barbados' strategy, that is our aim. And new information shows that marijuana ought to be legalized. My learned opponents, you do not want to find yourself on the wrong side